call the September 7th Carroll County Board of Commissioners meeting to order. I'm going to call on the County Attorney, Stacy Blackman, to call our roll.
Chairman Michelle Morgan.
Here.
Vice Chairman Tommy Lee.
Here.
Commissioner Montrell McClendon.
Here.
Commissioner Clint Chance.
Here.
Commissioner Steve Fuller.
Here.
Commissioner Ernie Reynolds.
Here.
Commissioner George Chambers.
Here.
Thank you. Our invocation is going to be led by Commissioner Clint Chance, and Jacqueline Doss, our new solid waste manager, will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
We can bow our heads. Dear Lord, we thank you for this opportunity to meet here today, Lord, to do the people's business of Carroll County. We pray that you will watch over us and give us guidance and wisdom. And as we have stated before, there are many times that we may disagree on items, Lord, but we do that in good conscience of what we believe is right, just and dignified to move the county forward as we see things and representing our constituents. We pray that you will bring us together no matter our votes on items to do what we do believe is best, and that we will be strengthened as a county and a community and as a board and as our constituents, Lord, as they watch on and participate in this government activity. We pray, Lord, that you will watch over our land and across the world as we are battling the virus of COVID-19 and many other ailments. We pray, Lord, that we will see an eradication of this disease and virus soon, Lord, that we may heal our land. We pray that you will watch over our servicemen, all of our first responders, whether they be here or abroad, Lord, and keep them safe, and we thank you for all that they do for us. Please lead, guide, and direct us. Give us traveling mercies as we go home. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented in a second?
Make a motion. Chairman, I make a motion that we amend tonight's agenda under the business session 12.1 subdivision ordinance, that we might step back, we take our due diligence, that we do it currently in a timely manner, that we might address this with all parties involved, and that we might come back with something as equitable solution for all parties involved. I would make that as a motion that we remove item 12.7 of the business session.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Any opposed?
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. So for those of you in the audience, for clarification, there's going to be no action taken on 12.1 under the business section, which is the subdivision ordinance. It will not be voted upon at this meeting. If you're here for this item, you do not have to stay all the way to the end. You are still welcome to stay and participate in public comments if you like, or you can save the comments until we bring this ordinance back before the board at a future time. Commissioners, you each have had time to review the July 29th work session minutes, the August 3rd, 2021 commission meeting minutes, the August 24th and 25th planning retreat minutes, and the August 31st special call commission meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve and a second?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion on these? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed?
Vote carries 7-0.
Great. Next, we're going to move into public comments. Public comments are just that, an opportunity for the public to address the commission with any issues or concerns they may have. All remarks should be directed to the chairman and not to individual commissioners, staff, or citizens in attendance. Members of the public shall not make inappropriate or offensive comments. Any individual who violates the rules of decorum may be removed from the meeting. At this time, the board will not comment, nor will the board take any action on the comments. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. There was a sign-up sheet in back. We'll take those first, and then if anyone else wishes to speak, I'll recognize you at that time. Now, let me also clarify, this is public comments only. If you have comments about the zoning, the next things that we have coming up, we will save those comments till then. So the first person on my list is Dwayne Hicks.
He left.
Dwayne would, okay, so he would, okay. Dan Williams. can. No, you can do it now during public comments, and we have 3 minutes for that.
All right. Is everyone ready?
Yes.
All right. So again, everyone, my name is Dan Williams. I'm an attorney at Duke and Heath in Carrollton, Georgia. Our firm has been retained to make some addresses tonight. Again, here to speak on 12.1, the amendment on that ordinance that is put in place. And I understand the concern that some of the constituents as well as council members may have. But what is proposed under the current amendment is a taking under the Constitution in this state, as well as the United States Constitution. The fear that is attempting to be instilled by Facebook posts that are trying to say there's going to be 20 mobile homes within 1 week. There's going to be 4-acre mobile home sites. There's going to be able to place mobile homes on each of these 20-acre tracts. There's going to become 20 mobile home sites. There's going to be mobile homes popping up overnight and detracting from our uncluttered and rural lifestyle in District 5. What has been proposed is an attempt to instill fear in the public, and what has been proposed is an unlawful taking under the Constitution. And if the committee were to, at a later date, today, tomorrow, in a month, in 6 months, put into place what has been suggested, my firm stands ready to file an action, not next door in state court, but in federal court. There are other ways to do what is being sought after. The other ways to do that, as my clients have done in a multitude of different other developments, is to put restrictive language in these sellers' deeds. The restrictive language in these deeds are, in fact, a covenant that runs with the land. And those covenants are instilled on subsequent purchasers. And what has happened in the past and what will happen in the future is that these sellers say, well, if you want to buy one of my 4-acre lots, you need to have a minimum of 1,800 square feet on the main floor, and you need to have a minimum of 1,400 square feet on the top floor, which in essence is that private citizen restricting the use of that property so that these homes that we are trying to instill fear on cannot be set forth on that land. There is a case that I would like to draw this commission's attention to. And if I didn't leave it at the office, that case is Barker et al. Versus the County of Forsyth. That action number is 248 Georgia 73 1981.
Excuse me, it's time.
That's time.
Please feel free to reach out by an email, since I don't want you to think we're just cutting you
I
off.
understand.
But
I understand. And I know that I'm over time, but our clients have a vested property right. And I would again, for council's purpose as well as the commission, 248 Georgia 73 Barker v. County of Forsyth. It's a 1981 Georgia Supreme Court case.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Dan.
council.
Thanks. Next, I have Curtis North.
Hello, Commissioner. I'm Curtis North. I live at 2380 East Highway 5 in Carrollton. I'll keep this brief. Thank you, first of all, for tabling this. I think this is very important. I think our community needs to have a full understanding, a full grasp of what we're talking about. I just wanted to bring a few things to the table. First of all, I commend y'all up here for what you do. I wouldn't want your job. You have hard decisions. I know you make decisions for the best interest of our community. For those of you that don't know me, I am a realtor, but I'm not up here as a realtor. I am up here because I am a citizen. I pay taxes just like the next person. I have 3 children, 2 of which wants to live in South Carroll County. Not trying to make a joke, but they're 25, 22, and 19. They can't afford land right now, but I don't want them living in my basement forever. So for them to be able to find property that's a 4-acre tract, they need to be able to buy a 4-acre tract, which means it needs to be available. I just want to point out a couple of things, and this is coming from your comprehensive land plan. I don't know when it was adopted, but it was updated in 2018, approved by the board. If it's correct, agricultural, forestry, parks, recreation, and conservation land comprise 69.2% of the land in our county. That's a lot, and I'm proud of that. 26% of that is parks, recreation, and conservation. That's land that we own as a county. Nothing can ever be done with it. So 26% of our land is always going to be for the use of our citizens, and I'm proud of that. My point being, the comprehensive land plan is working. Growth is going towards Villarica and Temple with subdivisions. The last subdivision in South Carroll County, and please correct me, I know you can't speak back to me, I think was in 2002, Central Heights, and then there was a 4-acre one on South Bend in 2005. So there's been no development to speak of in South Carroll County, and that's fine with me, but I do not think this county needs to tell a landowner they cannot split off their property, whether it's a 4-acre tract, 20-acre tract, 50-acre tract. I think we all have the same idea. I think where we're getting messed up is, do we want a 500-acre timberland, 50-acre cattle farm, 20-acre horse farm? Agricultural is agricultural. We're not changing zoning, but don't hinder a man that has worked for his property from being able to sell it. Thank you.
Morris Steed.
I'm Morris Steed. I'd just like to say that I don't think the county has the right to start telling me what I can do with my property. I pay my taxes. The taxes go up every year, and I'm going to do what I want to do with my property. And I want to thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Steed. Brad Cole.
Thank you all, and I'll be brief, and I do understand that the motion has been tabled, and this may or may not be necessary, but I will be brief, and I think this is something that the commission could do and consider as they go forward. One thing I'd like to say that y'all would consider, that, and let's get it on the table, me and my family are the owner of 2 large mobile home parks in this county. But that being said, we've revamped them, done a good job trying to keep them decent as can be. But I think there's a misunderstanding in the public, and I think the commission can clear this up, that there will never be any new additional mobile home parks in Carroll County. That's in the law. We've learned to accept it, but I don't know how many people in the county understand that. So I think it would be a good service if they would say that. And from a legal standpoint, there's no such thing anymore as a mobile home. They're manufactured homes. Now, as you folks go forward with what you're talking about doing, it's 2 things. I don't think, and see if we can all agree on this as y'all ponder this going forward, I don't think there's any dispute that people have a right to do what they want to with their property under the existing circumstances. I think there's even 2 things on the agenda tonight with some pieces of property going into conservation easement. As a fellow said a while ago, people can put covenants on their property. They can choose not to sell it for somebody if they want to. They can put a covenant from now to infinity. There'll be no manufactured home on the property. But if I understand the ordinance, proposed ordinance correctly, none of that's going to change. It's only a time limit of how many pieces can be sold. Now, we can come up with all kind of examples. But should we, as a people and as a governing body, come up with a law that denies, that's a big word, denies someone else who owns a piece of property? Take a theoretical example. A fellow goes to the doctor. Could be any of y'all if you own property. Doctor tells him he's got 6 months to live. He's got kids. He's got wife. He's got family. He talks to his relative. What's the best possible way for me to, I ain't got 6 months to live. What can I do for my family? Well, Mr. Smith, the best thing to do is split this property up and sell it. That'd be the best thing for you and your family. But now you got to sell it under the zoning regulations. Oh, by the way, you can't, I got 8 parcels of land. We can't sell them. It takes 2 years. Are we about to do something that would deny that man that right? Simply that he can't sell but 4 pieces of his land in over a 2-year period, and he ain't got 6 months to live. And so that, I appreciate y'all's time, but I felt like that needed to be said, because what y'all are contemplating to do under this proposed ordinance could be a can of worms that Lord knows where it would end at. Thank y'all for your time.
Thank you, Brad. Keith Knowles.
Good evening. My name is Keith Knowles. I live at 152 Open Skyway in Villa Rica, Georgia. Seems like I showed up on the wrong night for land issues, but you know, all you people with that land, we face a greater issue in this county, and that is firemen on a fire truck. We have a huge issue. We have another handful of firemen who are waiting on a call from another department to leave this county. Yet 10 days ago, after 19 years of service, I was terminated for bringing to light these issues and actually helping the administration of 21 years of military service, of leadership, okay, management, different techniques and different ways to stop employees from leaving this county. Yet we have a selected group of administrators who stand to keep their head in the sand, other people who refuse to acknowledge this issue that we have within this county. So for those of you who think that you're here for land division and everything else, put your mobile homes up. But we're probably not going to have enough personnel to respond, okay? We have firemen working illegal overtime shifts within this county, but yet firemen who volunteer free time, just like me, to help resolve these issues are shunned away. I was the very person who said I will be punished for standing up and speaking against these issues. If you speak out within this administration or this department, you get a target put on your back, and you end up like me, jobless. But I done it for free, so it really wasn't a job, I guess, to some people within this department. So think about that when you vote yes to a new fire truck, but yet you're voting yes to an administration that don't even know how to administer the administration. Each and every one of you have gotten an email from me on this topic. For 2 years, I have been talking the right way. I went to my chain of command all the way up to the commission chair and even ended with the county attorney and HR. But yet here I stand as a free paid employee with more certifications than the fireman that's on the truck. Now I'm done.
Wayne Seabolt.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and other members of the group, commissioners. I was a little surprised. This just occurred Sunday evening, and all of a sudden I started getting an influx of telephone calls in regards to a proposed development down in the Roopville area, and totally was unaware of anything in regards to this, and some of the property at one time joined me. And then I was also told that one person made a statement that, you know, there's enough land in Carroll County for agriculture. But let me explain something to you. According to the commodity index, agriculture is the #1 industry in the state of Georgia. Over 49% of the jobs in the state of Georgia are directly or indirectly related to agriculture. 40% of the jobs in the city of Atlanta are related to agriculture. In 1980, your food prices were around 18% of your income, if you'll go back and check. That figure now is around 34% of your income, and that's not that's of your present income. All I'm saying is as we go forward and we start looking at developing properties in Carroll County, and especially extensive tracts of property, we need to really take a lot into consideration. Carroll County at one time was the largest cotton producing county in the state of Georgia. And right now, according to the commodity index, I think Carroll County, I think cattle production is the #1 industry in the state of Georgia. So all I'm saying is that when I started getting these calls and I was unaware of any potential proposals or anything that was being developed, and I hope that's not due to the lack of leadership, because these people need to be aware of these kind of things. We don't need to be blindsided by them. I developed a subdivision, gosh, I don't know, back in 2000, something like this. And it was over down on Bethesda Road. And guys, I had certain guidelines and stipulations that I had to go by. At that particular time, if it was in agriculture, zoned agriculture, you had to put you had to have either 5 acres or more to build a structure on this. And you had to put a paved road. I don't know how much money putting a paved road and water but these lots were divided up. It was 5 acres or more. Some of the lots were, larger than 5 acres. And all I'm saying is that I understand that now, and due to my lack of knowledge, but maybe that zoning has been changed to 4 acres or something in regards to that. I really don't know. But what I'm encouraging you to do is to go slow with this, to look at it, to take a lot of things into consideration.
Thank you, sir.
Food.
It's time.
All right, I'm
Thank
sorry.
you.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, no, you're fine. Just keep this in mind, and I appreciate you
Thank you,
guys
Wayne.
allowing me to come and speak.
Thank you. Charles Young?
Hello, my name is Charles Young. First off, I want to thank y'all for everything you do for the county, every resident, everything. So, and most of all, I want to thank you for the prayer. We've definitely got to keep that in mind and in our hearts. So my name's Charles Young. I've lived in the Burwell area, which is inside Carroll County, all my life. My family, which is, there's a lot of us, have lived in the county for before 1850. So abiding by the county codes and the family's knowledge on how to manage land, what I'm here to tell you is that I disagree, the family disagrees with 12.1. So another point here, the math doesn't work. We voted for the SPLOST to give money to be able to use for the county. We're also talking about increasing our taxes for property owners, but now we're talking about reducing possibility of homes to be built in our county. So just think about it a little bit further, pray about it, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. John Salmon?
John Salmon. I'm the broker at Georgia West Realty in Carrollton. I reside at 106 West Lakeshore Drive. And My brother and I have developed 5 subdivisions in Carroll County. One of them was mentioned, Central Heights, in South Carroll County, but there comes something called economy of scale. And I've served on several committees having to do with smart growth. The 4-acre plan that we see has proven to be the path to smart growth. We've seen $500,000 homes being built on 4-acre lots, and it's been very successful. As far as economy of scale, you can't put a $100,000 whether mobile home or modular home or stick-built home. You can't have 30 and 40% of your land cost. And so that's where this 4-acre works. It's proven to work. And appreciate you tabling tonight so we can have more discussion on this. Thank you.
Brian Hager.
Commissioners, thank you for providing this opportunity to speak. Thank you to Commissioner Reynolds for being an advocate for rural character in this county. This is what makes, draws these people to the county, and the actions you take will determine whether we squander that. And so please keep that in mind. Just a couple of key points on this. In the proposal that was put forward, there's nothing there that limits a family who owns a bunch of land from dividing out a couple of parcels for their kids. And a few years later, if the grandkids want to come, they can divide out a couple more parcels for them. There's nothing that limits that. If this is your retirement plan, this land is, you can still sell it. You can sell a large block of it. The only limitation here is that if you do those couple of subdivisions for your kids and then a medical emergency comes up and you realize, wow, I've got to sell this land, I can't take care of it anymore, well, you can still sell the whole block, or if you want to retain a piece for yourself, you're going to use something that you guys use on a regular basis, which is called a hardship waiver. You can come in and ask and say, look, we've had a medical emergency here, I can't take care of this land, or my husband has had a stroke, I need to spend time taking care of him instead of the land. And you're going to grant, I trust you guys to grant an exemption or a waiver in those situations. You've done it before, that's your heart is going to be in it. This is about giving an opportunity. What's currently happening is people are taking advantage of these multiple splits. We see it in my neighborhood with the old quail farm. And you don't have to do it that way. You can do an agricultural subdivision. Buck Creek Manor, when you guys turned down the rezoning for that to residential, it was kept as agricultural. It's a very nice looking subdivision. It's going to retain value over time. You're not putting a limit on subdivision. So I thank you, Commissioner Reynolds, for bringing this up. And I just think, let's keep this on the level and facts. Thank you very much.
Rhett Harmon.
Yeah, Rhett Harmon. I reside at 198 Bohannon Road here in Carrollton. And a lot of points have already been made tonight, so I don't want to sound redundant, but I will try to make mine very brief. What's proposed, and with that, I'm so thankful it was tabled to have some more discussion, and I think that's healthy for all of us to learn more about what impacts truly could happen from this. But regulatory taking is not something that I can support, sticking up for private property rights, even though I'm a realtor here in Carrollton as well. But I'm also a landowner. I live on 14 acres of agricultural property. My kids are in ag at school. We have chickens and we've had goats and other things like that. But we live next door to an industrial area. And one day I'd like to be able to get 30, 40 acres of land, actually of this larger tract of 500 acres. I'd already been looking at some of that to eventually be able to have some property to build on, to be able to continue to have an agricultural aspect in my life or my family. So I couldn't afford 500, and probably couldn't afford 100, but maybe I can afford what's there. So there's a lot of other ways of doing things to preserve what's there. I think a lot of good things are in place, but additional regulation is not really going to solve what the people are upset about. I think there may be some other discussions to be had, but I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Bill Hodge?
I'm Bill Hodge. My wife and I reside at 3267 Tyus Carrollton Road and have for many years. As most of you know, I was your county agent here for 12 years. As I listened to the comments here tonight, very much reminds me of commission meetings 20 years ago. I'm hearing the very same things. And one of my favorite sayings can be attributed to Winston Churchill, and that is, oftentimes the more you look back, the further ahead you can see. I want to thank the Commission Board and George for making that motion to table this issue here tonight until you do further diligence. And I want to offer you a tool that may help you make decisions as you go forward. Some of you probably recall in 2002 we did a cost of community services study here. And for those of you that are not aware of it, what it does, it looks at the revenue generated from each of your land uses, meaning business, industrial, agricultural, and then also residential. And the results of that study in 2002 showed us that for every dollar in tax generated for commercial industrial, it cost the county 37 cents to service that. For open space working agricultural lands, for every dollar generated in tax revenue, it cost the county 55 cents to service that land. But for every dollar generated in residential development, it cost the county $1.29. So the old myth that red lobsters, that rooftops bring red lobsters, is not accurate. So I would encourage the county to look at doing another one of these before you make any decisions on how you're going to deal with urban sprawl going forward. The last thing we want to do is look at a series of property tax increases, because more revenue is going out than there is coming in. So if we can help with this, I'll be glad to do it. I do chair the board of the Georgia Agricultural Land Trust, and that's who I'm representing here tonight. Thank you.
That is all the names I have that signed in for public comments. At this time, if anyone else would like to come forward and speak that is not a zoning issue, please come forward.
My name's Henry McBrayer. Most of you commissioners probably know me because I sent you a very detailed, long email this morning. I did not intend on speaking at all. I did not sign up. But I wanted to counter something Mr. Hager had to say that caught my ear. He said that Buck Creek Manor was a very nice subdivision, which I think, if it's one I'm thinking about, it is. 4 acre plus lots. Why can't they be done? They can't be done with 12.1 because you can't do them at 4 lots at a time. The developer would have never built that 4 lots at a time. You do understand that. It's not possible. The numbers don't work. So, Mr. Hager, you need to check your numbers. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to come forward and speak for public comments? Oh, thank you. Please come forward. The glasses work for reading, but then the long distance gets messed up, so.
My name is Sandy Hollingsworth. I've been in this county 37 years. I am a native downtown Atlantan, and I understand that Carroll County is now considered metropolitan Atlanta. I protest. I hope that is not our proposed purpose for our county. I do appreciate each and every one of you for the times y'all serve in planning and preparing for our county citizenry. I do ask that as you postpone your issue tonight, that there be avenues for the people of the county to know what your purposes are. I have a serious question that I don't know who to refer it to, so maybe afterwards someone can help me. How agricultural land does not have to be rezoned, I know it's not a zoning time, to be residential. So if people are having 4-acre plots, no matter how many they are, how is it agricultural? They are not agricultural anymore. And I would really like to be directed what our planning and focus is for our county and land, because we have to have growth. A great percentage of the profits that come in for this board in our county is through property taxes, and they keep going up. So I understand we have financial needs. But in consideration, I would like to know, as you take this moment to pause on that, what are the inputs for citizens and the other organizations that will be helping to make this final decision? And how will the information be published to the voting citizens? Thank you.
Is there anyone else here who would like to speak during the public comment section? I'll ask again, is there anyone here that would like to speak during the public comment section? Okay, I don't see anyone. Are y'all, make sure I don't miss anyone. Now, the other list I have over here, people signed up for, was for planning and zoning. So if you were on this list and you'd like to speak during public comments, this is the last call. Okay, great, thank you. Thank you all for your comments, and thank you for coming tonight. I'd now like to present the Little Free Pantry resolution. I'm very excited. This came from the Commissioner's office, so the staff is very excited about this. It's a resolution of the Chairman and Carroll County Board of Commissioners to establish a Little Free Pantry program within unincorporated Carroll County. Whereas many communities have started the Little Free Pantry program and positive results have been well publicized, and whereas building on the success of the Little Free Pantry program, whereby non-perishable foods and other items can be donated and shared with people in need, and whereas the Chairman and the Board of Commissioners believe there is an unmet need for food and other items within the unincorporated part of Carroll County, Georgia, and whereas the Chairman and Board of Commissioners find it in the public interest to establish a Little Free Pantry program and to provide locations at certain public places within the county whereby non-perishable food and other items may be donated and shared with the people in need. Now, therefore, be it resolved as followed. The Chairman and the Board of Commissioners do hereby establish a Little Free Pantry program with unincorporated Carroll County. The Chairman or her designee shall designate one or more locations within the county for these Little Free Pantry boxes. The boxes shall be constructed of materials in dimensions approved by the Chairman or her designee, which, side note here, our fabulous Public Works Department has already created these boxes, which well meant above my idea of how they should look. They really, really hit the nail on it. That was a pun. Only non-perishable foods or other items approved by the Chairman or her designee shall be placed in the boxes, and the Chairman or her designee is otherwise authorized to impose any such rules or regulations that may be necessary to ensure the success and the safety of the program. Adopted the 7th day of September 2021, and I'm pleased to announce we've already had 2 churches out in the unincorporated area of Carroll County that are going to meet the needs of the citizens in those areas. Okay, that was that. All right. behind those. Okay, before moving into the zoning session, I would like to read the policies and procedures for governing the conduct of the zoning hearings. The applicant or anyone speaking in favor of the application or the request shall be allowed a total of 10 minutes to present the request. This is a total of 10 minutes collectively, not each person 10 minutes. Anyone opposed to the request shall also have a total of 10 minutes to present their opposition. So there again, if there are multiple speakers for or against an application, please be mindful of each other and allow the others to speak, should anyone wish to do so. Anyone speaking for or against the application shall be allowed a total of 5 minutes to speak in rebuttal. I'm now going to call on our county planner, Janet Hyde, for our zonings.
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. The first item that I have for you all tonight is item 9.1. This is a rezoning at Oak Mountain Road at Highway 16. Consideration of owner applicant Stripling Chapel Corner LLC's request for a rezoning from R3 residential to commercial for the purpose of a convenience store. This is parcel 134-0336, located at the intersection of Oak Mountain Road, Stripling Chapel, and Highway 16. This is in Commission District 4. Planning Commission recommended denial of this. Staff also recommended denial. The reason that staff recommended denial, first and foremost, was because it did not meet the future land use plan. Also because of the impact the traffic will have on that intersection that's already considered somewhat dangerous. The attorney for the applicant will tell you that we have deviated from the future land use plan since it was adopted in 2018, a total of 11 times. I'll tell you that 9 of those were down zonings. That is, we went to a less intensive use. One of those was for the ambulance service on Highway 27, and the other was a very small piece that was being combined with a residential property. I will turn it over to the applicant now. Again, staff recommend denial, and Planning Commission also recommend denial.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, good evening. I'm Chuck Connerly, and I represent the applicant. Also with me tonight on behalf of the applicant is Jerry Wood. I want to start by emphasizing that Mr. Wood has owned this property for 42 years. He has owned the property next door to this property and the house that sits on that property for 44 years. And with the exception of possibly Smoke Rise, I suspect that none of the nearby subdivisions even existed when Mr. Wood purchased his property. And while I don't know for sure, I suspect that very few, if any, of the people in this room who oppose the request have owned their property longer than Mr. Wood has owned his. Nevertheless, we're aware that there's opposition to our request. So what is the request? Subject property is currently zoned R3, which of course is single-family residential with 1/2 acre minimum lots. Our proposal is pretty straightforward. We would like to rezone the property for commercial use with the expectation that it would be developed for a convenience store. So why should you approve this request? Well, the first reason is location. This is a corner lot at a signalized intersection of an arterial state highway and a county collector road. From a land use and planning perspective, this is precisely where you should want to and expect to see a modest commercial use like a store. Moreover, Highway 16, alternate 27, is a corridor leading into the city of Carrollton. In fact, the Carrollton city limits is directly across the road from this property, and there are similar commercial uses all along this corridor. Again, this is precisely where you would expect to see a convenience store. And yes, there are several rooftops in the immediate vicinity of this property. As my dad might have referred to them, rooftops. Rooftops that can be served by and benefit from a store being there. In other words, a store at this location can serve not only the people coming in and out of Carrollton along this corridor each day, but it can also serve the existing neighborhoods in this area. And from a facility standpoint, there's virtually no added expense to Carroll County. There'll be no additional school children introduced by this request. There'll be no impact on our schools. The tract is large enough for on-site septic, so there's no need for sewer. And there's an 8-inch water main serving the property. And of course, commercial use of this property will create additional tax revenue for Carroll County. Again, with virtually no increase in expense to the county. So there are lots of reasons to approve our application. Now, on the flip side of the coin, there seems to be two primary concerns: traffic and the future land use designation for this property. So let me address those. First of all, in terms of traffic, I would submit to you that the traffic is already there. That's why it's the perfect location for a store. And yes, there might be some additional traffic stops generated by a proposed store, but it's not going to make a material difference given the location. Again, this is a corner lot at a signalized intersection of an arterial state highway and a county collector road. From a traffic standpoint, exactly where you want a store. And because it's a state highway, we'll have to get state DOT approval for whatever we do there. And the state's not going to approve a project if it's going to create problems from a traffic standpoint. And finally, I might add that the county widened Oak Mountain Road to a full 24 feet, all the way to the triangle, contemplating traffic along that corridor going north and east of Carrollton each day. As for the comprehensive plan and the future land use map, yes, this property is designated residential on the future land use map. But that's only part of the story. You have to look at the actual plan itself. And sometimes what's reflected on the map is not what's reflected in the plan. And yes, since the county adopted its latest comprehensive plan in 2018, it's deviated from that plan. I counted 10 times. Janet says it's 11 times in 3 years. In other words, on 11 occasions, the county has rezoned property to something other than what's on the future land use map. And you know something? There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all. I brought this up before the Planning Commission the other night, and one of the responses was, well, most of those were down zonings. It doesn't matter. There's still deviations from the plan. But again, it's okay because sometimes things change that warrant a deviation. Sometimes the future land use map is just wrong. Or as I said earlier, it may conflict with what's actually in the plan, and that's what we have here. If you look at what the plan says, not what's shown on the map, but look at the actual plan itself, it notes, first of all, that 10,000 acres of this county are commercial, industrial, office, and institutional zone properties, mostly located adjacent to major transportation nodes, just like this property. The most intense development is planned within the cities or areas surrounding the cities where urban services are anticipated to be provided and along transportation corridors. Just like this is located along a transportation corridor just across the road from the city limits. The plan says that limited neighborhood commercial and service uses may be developed in specified residential areas in the future based on appropriate infill policies that assure compatibility with neighborhood character. Residential development may include neighborhood-scale commercial uses to serve the predominantly residential development. Neighborhood-scale commercial uses may be authorized in residential areas subject to zoning and tier policies. That's straight out of the comprehensive plan. It contemplates the introduction of neighborhood-scale commercial uses in residential areas, just like the Dollar General store down the road in Clem. That's what we're talking about here. A limited neighborhood commercial use located along a transportation corridor adjacent to the city limits. Perfectly consistent with the county's comprehensive plan. Now let me take a minute to address something else that came up the other night before the Planning Commission, and that's the feasibility of developing the property under its current zoning. Well, the first problem is that if you look at this property, you'll see that it's irregularly shaped. It's basically a triangle. And it's a triangle that forms a very sharp angle at the intersection of Oak Mountain Road and Highway 16. And as a result, probably a good third of this property cannot be put to residential use. And if you've seen in the proposed site plan, which should be included in your materials, we don't even try to develop that portion of the property. Plus, it's kind of a blessing and a curse to be located at a signalized intersection of a state highway. DOT is not going to allow a bunch of curb cuts leading up to that intersection, and you wouldn't want that anyway. And even on Oak Mountain Road, you wouldn't want a series of curb cuts leading all the way to that intersection from that side. And you can see from our proposed site plan that we ask for 2 access points, one on each road, that are 600 or more feet from that intersection, 2 football fields. The other thing I would submit to you is that there's a topographical issue with the property. There's a significant fall from this property, from the back to the front of the property, that makes half-acre lots even less feasible. And plus, the county's not going to approve septic tank on half-acre lots anyway. So given its shape, its topography, and its location, this is just not a tract that lends itself to residential development. But it's ideally suited for what we're proposing. I thank you for your time tonight and your consideration of our application, and Jerry and I will be happy to answer any questions you may have.
How much time is
We
left?
have 1 more minute if someone else to speak in favor.
Is there anyone else here that would like to speak in favor of this? There's 1 minute left out of the 10-minute time. I'll ask a second time, is there anyone here that wants to speak in favor of this? Okay, hearing and seeing none, I'll ask at this time if there's anyone here who would like to speak against this zoning.
Madam Chairman, Commissioners, staff, and guests, thank you for listening tonight. My name is Jeff Bush. I live at 40 Mountain Oaks Drive in Carrollton. Mountain Oaks subdivision would be the most severely impacted by this zoning request. I would like to ask anybody that's here to oppose this application if you would stand and be seen. In addition to that, I've got over 100 people who've signed a petition as well. Thank you. When my wife and I moved into, my parents moved into it in 2005, and we bought the house from them about a year ago. Small subdivision, well-situated, quiet neighborhood. We can be to just about anything we need in Carrollton in 8 or 10 minutes, but far enough away from the hustle and bustle not to be bothered by it. Get anywhere in Carrollton in about 8 to 10 minutes. And I think most of our neighbors would agree with that assessment. I think the vast majority of the neighborhoods in this area, I think we all speak with one voice that we ask you to oppose this rezoning application. Specific to the application, there's going to be and I'll disagree, that there's going to be a very big increase in traffic into this area. There are some places that are zoned further down the road, commercial toward the BP station, but nothing contiguous and nothing in this area. Those zonings have probably been in place for years, if not decades. The county Community Development Department provided a memo addressed to Commissioner Fuller talking about the criteria and standards for rezoning, and it cites about 10 different reasons why this would be a negative or detrimental impact to the surrounding community, specifically our subdivision. We're concerned about safety issues. Anytime a gas station or convenience store or anything commercial comes in, there's issues. It's just fact. We have no sidewalks in our subdivisions. We're concerned about our children and elderly. This will degrade the residential character of our neighborhood. In the package that I sent around, there is a list of all the different subdivisions that are in this area. including included in there. There's also, I listed where there's $2 generals and 3 convenience stores within 2 miles of either direction of that traffic light. And so when the application says there's lacking services in that area, that's not true. But the buses is as big as issue as anything with the children. The bus lets out about 30 feet from that intersection. The children have to exit the buses, go around the front of the buses, cross a double yellow line, and sometimes run to the subdivision to get out of the way of oncoming traffic. So at the end of the day, and then if you go 3.5 miles down Stripling Chapel Road to Highway 27, you've got your anywhere that you want to go. So the question of them saying that there's a lacking of it in this area, that's not true. We've got everything that we need within 2 miles of every direction. I think it's unsafe and irresponsible. It does not meet the county comprehensive plan. I'll disagree on that. The neighbors do not want it, do not need it. Mr. Wood, purchased this property. Let him bear that risk alone. Don't ask us to suffer a risk that he took. And I'll thank you for your time.
Is there, okay.
5 minutes?
Yes.
Is there anybody else that's going to be speaking? Just because I want to make sure I leave. Okay. Thank you. Madam Commissioner, council members, my name is David Michelli. I'm a resident of Oak Mountain Park subdivision, and I'm an attorney here in Carrollton, but I'm here just as a member of my community and the subdivision that I live in. I spoke before the Planning and Zoning Commission, and we were pleased that they recommended a denial, and we would just urge you to do the same for the very same reasons. The committee recognized in their memo prior to the Planning and Zoning meeting that the contiguous properties were all residential. But I think that it's important for you to consider as you work out in concentric circles from this intersection, it remains residential until you get far down Stripling Chapel Road to the backside of Southwire, or to the triangle up Oak Mountain Road, or to Jeff's, what I've always been told is Jeff's BP, going towards Noonan, and then to the county buildings in the other direction. Everything that surrounds this property is residential. And I think that's important because conformity is something that can be not overlooked but worked with if it says the land, that if the proposed use will enhance the property or economic value of the surrounding properties, then it may be appropriate. In this particular instance, the only person who will benefit, the only property value that will be increased, and the only true economic benefit that's going to be derived from this is Mr. Wood when he sells this property and lets somebody come in and put a convenience store, and he leaves. He doesn't have to bear any further burden. He bought this property 42 years ago. He had 39 years before the comprehensive plan was put in place. This commission had notice, gave notice to the community, had hearings, had committees that developed this plan, and there's no reason, 3 years after instituting this plan, to encumber this the total residential nature of this area with a convenience store because one gentleman purchased property over 4 decades ago and now wants to sell his property, make his profit, and leave, and have the burden of that sale fall on the people who live there. The convenience store will not protect the integrity or serve the area. It may, there's no benefit to, there's no real harm in asking somebody to drive 1 mile in one direction or 1 mile in the other direction to buy their cigarettes, beer, or milk. And that's what we're talking about here, a convenience store. There's not a plan for who's going to be in there. We don't know if it's going to be what level of quality of service is going to be provided. But regardless, I think what the people that stood up behind me speak the loudest. There's no community member here saying, yes, we want a convenience store in our backyard. And to speak to the last item that Mr. Connerly spoke about, the infeasibility of using this for residential. Mr. Wood owns this property. He owns the property next door. He also owns a piece of property on Westbrook Road that touches this property. If the concern is about whether or not you could put houses here, approach from Westbrook Road. He has a half acre he can put the road in through. That's all I have. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor of this zoning? Excuse me. Anyone would like to speak against? You have 2 minutes. I'll ask again a second time if there's anyone here that would like to speak against this zoning. All right, seeing and hearing none, we'll move into the rebuttal of 5 minutes for both sides.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I won't need 5 minutes. I did want to give you an idea of, we did have some elevations done of what we envisioned the store looking like. We also have a site plan, and when I asked a while ago if this was in your materials, I wasn't clear or not whether or not you had seen it, but you can see what I'm talking about in terms of the shape of this property and the severity of the angle as it approaches the intersection and the difficulties involved in trying to develop the property under its existing zoning. And you can also see how to develop it under its existing zoning, you would need to have curb cuts along either of the two roads. And again, it's just not a good idea. Whereas what we're proposing would have one access on Oak Mountain Road, one access on Georgia Highway 16, both of which would be more than 600 feet from the intersection. But again, most importantly, whatever we do here, because it's a state highway, Georgia DOT is going to have to approve it. David Michelli's my friend. Been my friend for years, going to be my friend until the cows come home, hopefully. But David lives 2 miles from this property along the closest distance by road, 2 miles. And I would respectfully submit to you that you shouldn't deny a rezoning application just because there's opposition to it. That's especially true whereas here, the applicant has owned the property for more than 40 years. The application should be judged on its merits. And judged on its merits, this application should be approved. Thank you.
We have 3 minutes left for anyone else who'd like to speak.
Okay, so there's 3 minutes for anyone who would like to speak in favor of this with the rebuttal. I'll ask a second time if there's anyone here that wants to speak in favor of this for the rebuttal part. Okay, seeing and hearing none, we'll move into the 5 minutes rebuttal for those who are opposing the zoning.
Thank you. 2 things. One, I too will not need 5 minutes, and Chuck is my friend, and we're going to be friends for a long time after this. But I will point out that in my neighborhood, there is nobody who lives farther from this intersection than I do. I'm in the back corner of the neighborhood. But from the front of our neighborhood, it's about a mile. But one of the things I wanted to point out was when this commission and this county adopted the comprehensive plan, it spoke to the priorities and the importance of various aspects of our county that we place on certain things, on the residential communities, on the residential nature of where folks live. And we don't want to impose on that. Land use compatibility is essential to protect the integrity of residential neighborhoods, straight out of the plan. Again, if the proposed use is consistent and it will enhance property and economic values, it may be considered. There's nothing about this that enhances anybody but Mr. Wood. And you know, I feel for a gentleman who holds property for 40 years. But during that 40 years, he watched Mountain Oaks go up. He watched Victoria Vinings go up. He watched Oak Mountain Park go up. He watched all of the other neighborhoods around be established. If there was a service to be offered to those people, the clock has been ticking on that for those 39 years before the comprehensive plan was put in place. The comprehensive plan set those priorities. It set those beliefs that we should protect the integrity of the residential areas. During all that time, where was the opportunity to develop? Where was the opportunity to say, wait, it cannot be this way? We have to have our opportunity to have this be commercial. Silence. But now, when he wants to sell and leave, he wants to deviate from a plan that took too many years in the making, too much money spent, too many man hours to develop, to establish and protect those priorities that we have as a community. And it just shouldn't be done. Thank you.
We have 2.5 minutes.
Okay, there's 2.5 minutes. If anyone else would like to speak in rebuttal against the zoning. Avery, do you mind moving this because I can't see? There you go, thank you. Is there anyone else here who'd like to speak in rebuttal? Okay, seeing and hearing none, is there any questions from the board for staff or to the applicant?
I have a question for Ms. Hyde. Was there any new details or any information presented this evening that you had not already taken into consideration, or anything that would change staff's opinion on your recommendation?
No, sir, it's pretty much the same thing that was presented in the application as well as at the Planning Commission meeting.
Thank you.
I've got a DOT road question. I don't know if Charles or someone would know, but hasn't there been discussion about straightening out that angle that Oak Mountain Road makes onto 16 there that would take a good bit of this property at that corner?
In the past, when we with DOT, they have discussed of straightening that out and going straight across and moving the line probably 300 foot south of where it is now, realigning the whole road.
Charles, I've got a question for you too while you're standing there, and there's some discussion about...
Excuse me, Charles, can you come to the mic, please? And could you answer that question again into the mic?
Yeah, in the past, we have met with DOT, and at that time, they was planning on widening 16 out to Oak Mountain and also realigning Oak Mountain Road with Stripling Chapel Road.
Okay, and was it there some discussion from DOT about putting in crossing signals and that sort of thing at this intersection?
Yeah, that signal would be moved, like I say, further south to realign the road.
Okay, but that's if they do realign the road?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. Janet, where's Janet? Where is the nearest commercial property in relation to this?
The nearest commercial property to the south is what we all know as Jeff's Exxon.
Yeah.
To the north would be the BP at the intersection of, I'm sorry, not BP.
The Marathon station?
Marathon at the intersection of the bypass.
Okay. And do you know how many commercial properties there are in that corridor, say from, well, let's say from the Marathon station to Little New York Road?
I would say less than 5, probably.
Okay, well, I can think of 5 sitting here. So, okay.
Any more questions from the board for staff or for the applicant? Well, seeing and hearing none, do I hear a motion and a second?
I'd like to make a motion
to deny the rezoning from R3 to commercial at this site.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion from the board? Seeing and hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of denying the zoning, raise your hand. Any opposed?
The motion to deny is approved 7-0.
Okay, great. Thank you. We will now move on to 9.2, a conditional use for Harper Road. I'll call on Janet Hyde.
Item 9.2 is a conditional use. The owner is the estate of Martha Petrie. The applicant is Crystal Lane. She is requesting a conditional use to do a tasting room and event center. The application number is C21-08-01. The parcel number is 074-0036. This is located on Harper Road. It's in Commission District 6. Planning Commission recommended approval of this application for this owner only. Staff recommended approval but did not wish to put that condition on it. I do want to point out that you all have only put conditions on conditional uses one other time that staff could find, and that was the Todd Wright Farm in South Carroll County. And Ms. Lane is present.
Hello, my name is Mary Buscemi White. I'm going to be the owner. My daughter is Crystal Lauren White. Her married name is Lane. She had to represent me last time because I had surgery on my eye. I had to have a retina repair before I lost it. My husband and I had a goal, a dream in 2011, to open a winery after we went to a winery in North Carolina. We loved the couple. They were amazing. We just always had good memories and referred everybody to them. He passed away in 2015. We were never able to get our dream. We have land in Augusta, Georgia. We were hoping to open it there because we've owned it since 1980, but they refused to do it. She wrote something up for me because I get nervous. Hello, my name is Mary Buscemi White. I am the pending buyer for 0 Harper Road. The dream of opening a winery began with my husband spring of 2011. After visiting a small winery and discussing our dream, my husband passed away in the spring of 2015 before we were able to achieve our dream. My daughter Crystal Lane and myself are pursuing this dream to honor a goal and to build a legacy for our family. What drew us to Carrollton was the community's continued support and pride for businesses that open in the surrounding areas. When we first saw this land, there was a connection to our vision and what is currently cleared on the property. Our plan is for a small tasting room with a large outdoor space allowing patrons, families, and groups to gather with limited hours, Thursday through Sunday. We aim to be members of the community giving back, using local food trucks and restaurant as our on-site dining options, and local bands, musicians for entertainment and open mic nights. It is truly in my heart to give back. I'm a nurse, geriatrics nurse of 38 years. I retire May 1st, 2022, and this is my goal, to have something like this, to bless the community and give them options of making memories. Okay, sorry, it is truly in my heart to give back. I am a host. I aim to host charity events, donating our venue for fundraising and raising funds for local families, foster families, and animal charities. I'm a foster child of 8.5 years. I want to be able to mentor children. I want to be able to help them grow. I want to be a support system for them and show them it's not where you come from, but it's who you become. I want to be able to mentor them and make them grow and believe there is hope and there is humanity and there is ability to be more than you are. Sorry. Nothing about our family vineyard will be a loud or rambunctious venue. After hours, we like to use a vineyard property to host moving movie nights, drive-ins, fall and art festivals, bringing the community to our property as a gathering point. The venue is my daughter's project in conjunction. Crystal could not be here tonight due to being out of town for work. Crystal has combined 9 years in event experience between working at a wedding venue as a wedding planner and working for a national wedding show company. And she also volunteered a lot of time with FIMU events in her college. Again, our focus, even with the event, is giving back to the community. Being a smaller event venue with a capacity of 125 guests total, our weddings will focus heavily on serving our couples. Our vision is to donate wedding weekends to couples in conjunction with other vendors, allowing them to have a wedding of their dreams. Our whole vision centers around community and local support. We will not be growing our grapes on site, with the exception of a few rows to complete the winery vision. We will source fruit from Georgia farms, connecting us to local farmers and vendors. I already currently make the wine. I get my peaches from Georgia. I get blueberries and strawberries from some of the farmers and stuff. So anyway, thank you for taking the time to hear us and to get just a small glimpse of what my family hopes to achieve with the purchasing of this land. And I have she has printed up a few little things of what we would like to have this venue look like. You got all of them out of there? Okay. Sorry, any questions?
Not at this time. How much is left?
We have 5.5 minutes
Okay,
left.
so you have 5.5 minutes left to speak in favor of this. If there's anybody that would like to join
They
us.
work together. They're more computer literate than I am.
So yeah, this is my mother-in-law, my wife Crystal. She couldn't be here because she's out of town for work. So when she initially started looking for land, like you said, she had land down in Augusta. Zoning just wouldn't work out down there. So we started looking around. She was looking south of the city, and we kept telling her, like, you should look at Carroll County. So I work in Douglas, so I'm a teacher at Arbor Station Elementary. Have a connection to the West Georgia side of things, and one thing that we noticed, Carroll County people love Carroll County. Like, they love to support their local businesses. So that's why we came here, found this plot of land. It looks amazing. It's mostly cleared. We wouldn't have to do a lot to it. So we really think that this could be the future home for her winery and for the event venue. She summed it up pretty perfectly. We don't want anything crazy. It's not going to be some seedy biker bar. It's just going to be a nice place for families to enjoy an evening or an afternoon. We want to have local artists, local musicians, have people out there. Like she said, movie nights. We want to be a big part of the community, and like she said, a big fundraising aspect. If we can put on, if we can be a host for charity events and donate that money, we'd love to do that. She said her animals and foster children are two of her big things that she loves. So we just want to see this vision come true here in Carroll County. Thank you.
One plat would be the winery, the venue. The other plat would be my home. Just driving, I wanted a place that's magical. It's White's Wonderland Winery. Come wander our land, get lost in the magic. I like how you drive up through the woods and then you come to this clearing that's already cleared. I don't have to take any of the trees away. I'm also a recycle freak. I came from California, lived there for 16 years. I believe in taking and caring for Mother Earth, giving a place for our kids. I don't want to destroy any of it. I just want to add to it. I want to give this beautiful land, a place where people can come and make memories. So.
We have 3 minutes and 20 seconds left.
There's 3 minutes left. 3 minutes left. If anyone else would like to speak in favor of this application. I'll ask a second time if anyone wants to speak in favor of this application. All right, seeing and hearing none, is there anyone here who would like to speak against this application? Please come forward. If you'll state your name and address for us.
My name is David Todd, 316 Harper Road. Madam Chairman, Commissioners, good to see y'all tonight. Y'all look well. I own the property on both sides of this winery, which sounds like to me there's no grapes being grown. Sounds more like a bar But now, I don't know, I've asked for plans. I don't know if the codes has got site plans for this, or anybody has anything, or are we just voting on a blind winery? Do y'all have plans on any of this yet? What it's supposed to look like, what it's supposed to be? I mean, you know, like I said, I own property on both sides. The driveway adjoins my property, and it adjoins my neighbor's property in between us. I think there's 28 foot for the driveway between the easement. It's very small, and it's on a cutoff road right there. Really horrible traffic right there. Y'all may want to look into that. But I'm not saying I'm for or against it. I'm not able to stand up here and cry yet, but I may be after y'all vote tonight. But I'd like to see some plans on what is this supposed to be if we're not growing wine on it, but we're going to have an event center and we're going to show movies and we're going to sell alcohol. Sounds like a bar to me. But other than that, I don't have nothing to say. Good to see y'all, Madam Chairman. Always a pleasure. Have a good night.
We still have 9 minutes.
Okay. Is there anyone else here that'd like to speak against this application?
My name is Greg Stacy. I live at 73 Harper Road. And, you know, as we heard in the last few sessions, people want to be able to do with their property what they want to do. And I agree with that too, with some exceptions. But when them exceptions, we're looking at putting a winery and a convenience center, entertainment center, playing bands. This is a residential neighborhood. This is somewhere that our children go out and play. And with that type of atmosphere coming into this residential area, I wonder what kind of traffic that we're going to have that may not be good sound traffic. You know, if we're drinking wine and we're entertaining, I'm just wondering what type of traffic is going to be coming down Harper Road, which is very busy right now as it is. You have Bear Creek Estates there, you have Harper subdivision, you have Virginia Trail, there's just a number of them around there that I feel like that this is not an appropriate location. I'm all for them putting in a winery if they want to do it somewhere else, just not in this residential area. Thank you.
We still have 7 minutes and 30 seconds.
Okay. Is there anyone else here that would like to speak in rebuttal? Excuse me. If there's anyone else here that would like to speak against this application? I'll ask again a second time so I make sure I'm clarified myself. Is there anyone here who would like to speak against this application? All right, seeing and hearing none, we'll move into the rebuttal of 5 minutes.
All right, so I hope I can calm some of the concerns. I'm so sorry. My name is Andrew Lane, and here for the 0 Harper Road. Just hope I can calm some concerns. I don't know if any of you have gone to any of the vineyards and wineries they have in North Georgia. I mean, that is a destination that brings in people from all over the state, to bring in revenue into those counties up there. So we're hoping we can do that here. And again, if you've been to one of those vineyards on a Saturday afternoon, you're going to see families, young families, old families. You'll see children. It's not going to be anything that's going to be wild, out of control parties. I know the county has a noise ordinance, so we wouldn't even be able to go till 1:30, 2 o'clock. It's definitely not going to be a bar. As far as the growing our own grapes, I don't have exact statistics, but in talking to a lot of the vineyards in the pre-planting process, a good number of the vineyards here in Georgia don't actually grow the grapes that they use for production. They do grow some grapes, and we will be planning on growing some grapes, but a lot of the vineyards here in Georgia don't grow their own grapes. So that's nothing new for us. But yeah, our vision is not a bar. There's plenty of bars. Say, I live in Smyrna. I live close to the city. If I want to go to a bar, I'll go to a bar. Like, this is not what this is going to be. It's going to be somewhere to hang out with your family, bring the kids, have a picnic, throw a frisbee, throw a football. Just like I said, we love the family aspect of Carroll County and just want to have something else like that. And again, it's not a concert venue. It'll just be, while the vineyard is open, we want to have live music. It's not going to be a ticketed thing. We're going to have bands and nothing like that. Just want to have some entertainment for the people who are there. We have over 40 acres, so it's not like any of our buildings are going to be right on top of the surrounding neighbors as far as noise goes. Anyways, I think we've got a good bit of space. That's why we really liked this plot of land, just because of its size. We can have buffers on all sides and still preserve the trees that are there. So yes, we do not plan on owning a bar. That's not what we want at all. We want something for families, like not just 21 and up. We want families to be there. So, thank you.
We have 2.5 minutes left in the rebuttal.
Is there anyone here that'd like to speak in favor of this application during the rebuttal time? I'll ask again, is there anyone here that would like to speak in favor of this application? All right, seeing and hearing none, is there anyone here who would like to speak in rebuttal against this application? I'll ask again, is there anyone here who'd like to speak against the rebuttal? Anyone to speak against the application during the rebuttal time?
So we meet again, guys. My understanding of what he just defined is a bar. We don't grow wine on site. We bring in wine. We got music. We got all of this. It's the definition of a bar. As far as the noise level, yeah, my house sits right directly in front of where this property's located. I don't know what kind of noise they're talking about, but it's definitely going to be within earshot of the people around. But, and something that concerns me, the last gentleman that spoke, was he doesn't even live in Carroll County. But we're not going to make noise. We can't hear you from Douglasville. I'm done.
We have 4 minutes left in rebuttal.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak against this application during the rebuttal time? I'll ask a second time, is there anyone here who'd like to speak against the application during the rebuttal time? Seeing and hearing none, are there any questions from the board for the staff or for the applicant?
Ms. Hyde, taking into consideration the Planning Commission's recommendation when they wanted to put a stipulation to confine, if this is approved, just to the current owners, did they give a verbal reason for that, or was that just included in their motion?
That was just included in the motion.
Can you think of a reason from staff perspective, if that was placed on it, where that would be any negative for staff or for the county's perspective?
Would be, if they had a successful winery and they wanted to sell it at some future date, they might not be able to market it, if it's not passed on to a future owner. We'd have to come back before y'all for approval for a second owner.
Okay. And the flip side of that is if someone else came in and had a total different perspective of what they were going to do and we didn't agree with it, we'd also get to see that on the front end as well.
Yes, that's true.
Thank you.
Well, I have a question, or Janet, do any of the existing wineries in Carroll County have that stipulation on them?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay.
And how much acreage is this, or
They have 21 acres on the site for the winery, and then they have another 20 acres where they're going to live for their home site.
Okay.
2 separate parcels.
I guess I'm a little confused. I thought I was clear, but now I'm muddled. Like these pictures show what appears to be rows of grapes out there on the side, but then you're not going to have the grapes grown there. Are they growing grapes or importing the bottles of wine, or what?
I can let him clarify, but I think they were going to grow some grapes, just not a lot of grapes. But
I mean, I know what a vineyard is and I know what a winery is, but it just seems like.
Yes, sir. Sorry, try to clear up that confusion. So we want to have some grapes grown on site. For one of the reasons, we said we do want to have an event space, and a lot of times if a bride and groom are getting married at a winery or a vineyard, they don't want to have pictures with grapes, or just patrons who come, they want to take, Instagram pictures with the grapes. So we do plan on growing some grapes, but the majority for the making will be not wine brought in. She is going to be making the wine. We are not buying someone else's wine just to resell. It will be bringing in the raw juice, and she will be, I don't know. I'm not a winemaker, so I can't explain the process, but we are making all the wine. It's not selling other people's wine. So there will be grapes, but we'll be getting fruit from other places to supplement those grapes.
Okay, now you have my undivided attention. I'm a grower. So are you planning on using vinifera grapes or hybrid grapes?
I do not know.
Okay, well, that's something that's important.
So the winemaker, there we go.
I start off with grape juices. I've done strawberry, I've done watermelon, grapes, I've done red berries, I've done, like I say, watermelon from the people in Aiken, I've gotten strawberries from Georgia, I've gotten peaches from Edgefield. So my base is the juice, but my fruit is what makes it different characters. I have different flavors.
So you're going to make fruit wine?
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to make wine from grapes?
Well, I know you know how much it costs to start up a...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So if I could, I would love to do that, but and I wasn't crying to get sympathy, but I am a widow, and I'm trying to start small and maybe grow, and I don't have the funds to be able to start a $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 winery. This is a big piece of land, and it's costing me a lot of money. I'm putting a lot of my whatever equity I have on this to try to make a dream, to try to go forward, to do something for a community, and I'm going to find a place for it. If it's not here, it'll be somewhere. I've been searching for a while. So if I could start up small and maybe end up growing the grapes, and I know that would be considered estate wine. I know you have to have so much percentage of yours to be considered an estate wine. So like I say, just start small and to hopefully grow. I would like to do it, but I just don't have the funds.
Well, I mean, you can buy the juices locally. There are
be
several
fine.
wineries and
that would
growers
be
here.
perfectly fine. I'm just kind of, like I say, we went to a winery in 2011. I've been going to them all over North Carolina, Virginia, Florida, and everywhere else, just trying to make something. I make something called Wine Shine. It tastes very different. I'm trying to do something different for a community. I don't want to be like everybody else. I want to be unique. I kind of am unique. I'm crazy, but I'm fun. I want to bring that to a community. I want to, like I say, have an event center and impact, and fundraising. So if I can get to the point where I could grow grapes, that'd be great, but I know it's very hard in Georgia too. I often thought about going to North Carolina because it's easier to grow grapes and more varieties grow up there.
Well, that's why I asked you, were you planning on vinifera or hybrid? Because vinifera grapes will not grow here.
Right, I know
But the
Scuppernong
hybrids
and
the hybrids grow very
Muscadine
well.
is usually about what grows here.
Okay.
So.
I have a question for the applicant. What hours or days are you planning on being open?
I would like to do Thursday through Sunday. Since it's small, I don't I may have to work even part-time to get it off the ground. So it gives me Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to be able to work another job. I don't want it to be all week long. I want to kind of semi-retire and just kind of enjoy my life. I don't want it 7 days a week, to be open. I don't think I have the capacity to do that right now.
I have a question for Avery and Stacy.
Okay.
Do I need to abstain on this vote?
If you have a financial interest.
Well, I don't have a financial interest, but I have a other interest.
The fact that you have you might be in this industry, I don't think that rises to the level to disqualify you.
Okay. All right.
Any other further questions for the staff or for the applicant? No, we're past that. Sorry, David. So there's no more questions for staff or the applicant. Okay, do I hear a motion from the board?
Based on conversations with the surrounding citizens, the land continuity, and some uncertainty, I make a motion to deny.
Is there a second? I'll make a second. Okay, thank you, Tommy. So we have a motion and a second to deny. Commissioners, are there any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of denying the applicant, raise your hand. Any opposed?
The denial vote is approved 7-0.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to 9.3. I'll bring Janet back up for Moss Ferry Road.
9.3 is a consideration of the owner applicant Madeline and Neville Brewer's request for a rezoning from ag to residential for the purpose of subdividing into 3 tracts for single-family housing. This is application Z-21-08-01, parcel 171-0015. This is in Commission District 3. This applicant has a parcel that is 7.68 acres. They want to keep 4.5 acres as ag, but rezone the remainder of it to residential so they can subdivide it into 2 pieces. One of those parcels would contain the residence that they live on right now. Planning Commission recommended approval of this, and staff also recommended approval of this, and the Brewers are here.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, Commissioners. I'm Neville Brewer, my wife Mandy. We bought our property about 30 years ago when we moved into Carroll County. At that time we had 3 horses and a lot more energy. We're now in our mid-70s and we only have 1 horse. And we're finding that the workload for us is just becoming overwhelming. So what we're asking for your consideration is we would like to split our property into 3 different tracks. Track 1 is 4.5, the whole property currently is agricultural, 7.5 acres. We'd like to split it in, 1 is 4.5 acres including a barn which will remain agricultural. Another track 2 is 1.8 acres which is our own home where we live, where we intend to live for the rest of our lives. And the remaining 1.2 acres is just an additional residential lot that we may sell off at some stage in the future. We don't know. It depends whether we can cope with the workload or if we need to relieve ourselves of that as well. We love our home. We're going to stay there. But as I said, we just can't cope with the workload. That's really all we're trying to achieve, is just plan a bit for the future so that we can start enjoying our home as we do and enjoying the retirement without so much work that we've got at the moment. That's basically it.
Is there anyone else here that would like to speak in favor of this application? Okay. Well, I'll ask, is there anyone here that would like to speak against this application? I'll ask a second time, is there anyone here who'd like to speak against this application? Well, since there is no one that has come forward to speak against it, we don't need to go into the rebuttal 5-minute time. So at this point, I'll ask the commissioners, do you have any questions for staff or the applicant?
Ms. Hyde, this meets the land use map?
It does, I'm sorry, I failed to mention that. It does meet the future land use,
And what
which
I'm
is
hearing
residential.
is we got a 4.2 agriculture piece, a 1.8, which a home's already on, and a 1.2 we're going to change from ag to residential that could possibly be sold off in a home.
Right, they want to rezone both pieces to residential, the piece containing their home plus the other 1 acre piece.
Gotcha.
Any other questions for staff or the applicant? Seeing and hearing none, I will ask for a motion.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve. Are there any questions, discussions from the board? Seeing and hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approving the application? Any opposed? Okay, great, thank you.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Brewer, you said those 3 horses was getting to be too much for you. Would you like to buy a winery?
All right, we have 9.4. I'll bring Janet Hyde back up for East Highway 166.
Yes, this is item 9.4, consideration of owner MSI Enterprises, application to rezone property from commercial to industrial for the purpose of manufacturing. This is application Z-21-08-02, parcel 131-0369, located at 2566 East Highway 166. This is in Commission District 5. Planning Commission recommended approval of this application. Staff also recommended approval. Planning Commission did ask to put a restriction on it that it's for this owner only. However, that is not a valid restriction. The future land use for this property is commercial. However, there are numerous uses around this property that are already industrial uses. So for that reason, staff is recommending approval. And Mr. Polzinski is here representing this application.
Good evening. Robert Poltrinski is my name. So we are currently located in Carrollton city limits and doing business there as a dietary supplement raw material manufacturer. We basically blend raw powders, dry powders that are vitamins, minerals, botanicals, and we are currently moving and have acquired this address where the difference being that Carrollton City has various stages of commercial zoning, whereas Carroll County, according to my understanding, is either industrial or commercial. We only sell wholesale to very specific manufacturers, and so there is no real use for retail or commercial desk or sales. So hence we request to be zoned as industrial. There is no impact to the outside of the building or to the neighbours with regards to any dust, noise, or congestion or traffic. Everything is within the building and all very straightforward.
Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of this application? I'll ask a second time. Anyone here in favor of speaking in favor of this application? Seeing and hearing none, is there anyone here to speak against this application? Anyone here to speak against this application? Seeing and hearing none, we will skip the rebuttals. At this point, I'll ask the commissioners, do you have any questions for the applicant or for staff?
I have unfortunately, a couple of questions for you, Janet. I guess we got a little bit of everything in District 5, going from kick on agriculture to commercial and industrial. So is it absolutely essential that this be rezoned from commercial to industrial?
So Our commercial zoning does not allow for manufacturing, and that's the reason he has to apply for rezoning, is because he is doing manufacturing.
Okay. Will there be any impediment on current landowners in that general area whose property may be zoned commercial now? If this little spot is zoned industrial, will it hamper them in the future if they wanted to sell as a commercial property?
No, it should not, because you can do anything in industrial that you can do in commercial. Industrial encompasses commercial as well. So I don't see any impediment. I don't think you will even know that this business is there, except for maybe the sign may change. You know, it was 5-star floor covering before, because everything they're doing is going to be inside their building.
And as far as the space there, I know there's several buildings there and so on. There would not be any hampering of the truck traffic, since a lot of truck traffic goes in and out of there,
right,
given the employees that might park there now or in the future growing in size.
No, I don't foresee that. They have enough room for what they're planning to do.
Okay. I did check with Hubert Sparks as far as valuation, just from a tax assessment standpoint, and he assured me that there is no increase or decrease valuation to be concerned about going from commercial to industrial, because that was a concern expressed to me. So you mentioned that there's other industrial property there. I mean, this is a commercial corridor, and the land use was set up so that there would be 600-700 feet, as I understand it, of commercial property in the corridor going up the 4-lane, and in this area it looks like it's all commercial except for this spot and maybe one other one. Is that correct?
Well, if Travis Hill were to come before you all tonight, or come to us for a business license now, he would have to be zoned industrial. So he's grandfathered, as well as the fleet services, the Triangle Fleet Services, which is on Pleasant Hill. That would also be considered industrial under today's guidelines, but they're also grandfathered. So that's what I meant by there's already industrial uses in that area, even though it is zoned commercial.
Okay. One last question.
Okay.
In the future, let's say 5 years down the road, some outfit wants to come and put a commercial retail establishment there and buy 5 different properties in that area. Could this be then zoned, if the current owner is not using it for industrial, could it be zoned to commercial at that point?
It could be zoned to commercial. However, a retail, say a shopping center or a grocery store, could operate under the industrial zoning.
Okay. Okay, good.
Ms. Hyde, you stated that the original motion, or what passed from the Planning Commission, essentially there was a legality issue with the portion trying to confine it just to this particular owner. Is there anything that went through, I guess, the Commission's mind that they explained out loud of what their rationale was behind that maybe we should try to consider?
I think their rationale was that they felt like the rezoning needed to go back to commercial if this company left. However, you can't, zoning doesn't work that way. So once you rezone it to industrial, it is industrial.
Ms. Blackman, is there any type of, I'm not saying that we need any safeguards, I'm just talking out loud, is there anything that we could consider to be worded differently if the board so chose, or is that just simply off the table? Just going down that road altogether is off the table?
I can't think of anything that would address that particular concern.
Okay, thank you.
Well, at this time, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the change from commercial to industrial, since there doesn't seem to be any negative impact on current owners.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion from the board? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of approving this application? Any opposed?
Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, great, thank you. Next on our agenda is number 10, the consent agenda, and we agreed last Thursday on our work session for 10.1, Property and Casualty Insurance RFP, 10.2, the American Rescue Plan Act ARPA funds, 10.3, courthouse renovations, 10.6, agricultural conservation easement program, 10.7, mini excavator purchase, 10.8, tractors with mowers purchase, 10.9, the county clerk appointment, and 10.10, the deputy county clerk appointment. So this will be a motion to vote on all these items as one.
Make a motion.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those, oh, excuse me, there is no discussion. All right, all those in favor? Any opposed?
Passes 7-0.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this time we'll move into 11.1, the financial session. This addresses 11.1, 11.2, and I'm going to call on the county engineer, Brian Kent, to present the agricultural conservation easement applications individually. This is removed.
Madam Chair, Commission. Before you, we have two applications. The first one was the Stober property, if I'm correct. Before you is the remote, with your approval, we're going to move forward with the submittal of the Stober application to the state for a competitive process to enter into agricultural easement application process. We currently have 12 of those applications. We're at about 2,000 acres right now that the Carroll County holds, and we're before you is the Stober property, if there are any questions.
Okay, at this time, I'll entertain a motion for 11.1, the Stober application.
I make a motion that we approve the application as presented.
So we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion or any questions for Brian? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of approving the Stober application? Any opposed?
Vote passes 7-0.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, I'll entertain a motion for 11.2, the Stana application.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. Is there any discussions or questions for Brian? Okay, at this point, all those in favor of approving the application? Any opposed?
The motion
Thank you, Brian.
fails.
Thank you, Brian. All right, the next thing we have is 12.1, which we did remove earlier. So at this point, I'll ask for a motion and a second to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Stacy?